Hello everyone, Meteorologist Mike Joyce here with Ohio News and Weather. We're here in the middle of July. We've already gone through our first heat wave, and while dangerous weather has taken a bit of a break here in the Buckeye State, thankfully, we're still enjoying summer. The sun has been shining, and that means we need to cool down. One of the best ways to do that is to head to the pool, or if you have a spa, it's still a nice, relaxing way to spend your summer. And the way we stay safe from sharing all that water and any contaminants that could get into the water is by putting chlorine into it. And the way we do that is a couple of ways. You can either put chlorine salt into the pool or hot tub, or you could use a chlorine tablet, which is basically the same thing. And this is not elemental chlorine. Elemental chlorine on the periodic table is actually a gas in nature. What this is, it's a salt, kind of like sodium chloride. This isn't table salt, but what it does is when it gets dissolved into the water, it breaks down into two components. The first of which is called hypochlorous acid. The other component is a hypochlorite ion. And if you remember anything from your science class, an ion is basically a charged molecule that really wants to find something to bind to. Well, that's exactly what we need. We need those chlorines to bind with the contaminants that enter a pool, whether it's a biological contaminant like bacteria, or it could even be the oils from your skin or your sunscreen. Basically what those chlorine ions are doing in those two components is binding to the contaminants and neutralizing them so they're not dangerous to us. When they bind to all those contaminants that are in a pool, they create new molecules called chloramines. And those chloramines are what creates that classic chlorine pool smell. You're actually smelling the chloramines, or the byproducts of the chlorine reacting with contaminants. So if you smell really, really strong, quote, chlorine smell, it actually means the chlorine is working really hard to clean up a pretty contaminated pool. So you don't want to smell that strong of a chlorine smell, even if you put a lot of chlorine in to clean a pool. But it's not the only chemical that we put into our pools. In fact, if you are a pool owner or a spa owner and you're using city water, or especially well water, to fill it up, you're going to need this calcium hardness increaser. And what hardness is a measure of how much calcium is in your water. When it comes to pools and spas, you actually want hard water. The reason you want that is because hard water will actually protect the plumbing inside your pool or spa. If you don't have enough of this, it can cause corrosion of the pipes. This can actually lengthen the life of your spa or pool by making sure you have the right amount of calcium hardness increaser in it. And that depends on how many gallons of water your pool or spa holds. And there are conversion tables on the back, or you can do the math, or there are calculators online to help you. Another really important component to your pool chemistry is something called alkalinity increaser. Let's talk a little bit about what alkalinity is. Basically, if you've ever heard of a pH buffer before, or something that can resist the change of pH in a solution, that's what alkalinity essentially is. So alkalinity increaser really isn't anything different than baking soda. You can use a box of baking soda to substitute for this. Let's talk a little bit about pH and why increasing alkalinity could be important if your alkalinity is low. You really do want a pH of your pool or spa water to be about 7.2 to 7.4. 7 is a neutral pH. That would be pure water with no other elements or minerals in it. You do want your pool or spa water to be ever so slightly basic. Again, that does help prevent corrosion in the pipes and the pumping system and can really extend the life of your pool or spa. Let's just talk about a couple more components to keeping your pool or spa water healthy this summer. One of the other elements you may see if you test your water with one of these pool or spa test strips, and I apologize, mine is a little bit faded, but that is something called cyanuric acid. So cyanuric acid is essentially like a sunscreen for your water. Believe it or not, the sun will actually break down the chlorine as well. You might have noticed that from our sunscreen video, that UV light can cause a chemical reaction, and that's one of the components to sunscreen. It's literally putting chemicals on your skin that absorb the UV light and dissipate it as heat. That same thing happens to the pool chlorine as well. The sun can break that down, meaning you're going to need to add more. But cyanuric acid can prevent that from happening. It's like a sunblock for your pool water. The problem is, if you have too much cyanuric acid in your water, it can eventually start to cause a little bit of corrosion and even burn your skin a little bit. So you really want to make sure that cyanuric acid is balanced. Lastly, just to mention, it's a good idea to keep your water tested every day or every other day. Just stick one of these test strips into your water and it'll let you know how much chlorine you've got in there, if you need to add more, if you have too much and maybe need to dilute it with some water. You can check your cyanuric acid, your pH, all of those important components to keeping your pool or spa safe for you this summer.